Dr. Taylor and fellow classmates, this presentation on expeditionary learning was created in partial fulfillment for the course ED 525, Advanced Teaching Methods, taken at the Crown College in Powell, Tennessee. What is expeditionary learning? It is a model for teaching and learning that challenges students to think critically and take active roles in their classrooms, which result in higher achievement and greater engagement in school. Let's look at some benefits of expeditionary learning. First, learning is active. Students investigate real community problems and collaborate with peers to develop creative, actionable solutions. Second, learning is meaningful. Students apply their skills and knowledge to real-world issues. They see the relevance of their learning and are motivated by understanding that learning has purpose. Thirdly, learning is challenging. Students at all levels are pushed and supported to do more than they think they can do. Excellence is expected in the quality of both their work and thinking. So, what are the pros and cons of expeditionary learning? As I mentioned before, EL engages students in real-world issues. It promotes self-efficacy, collaboration, and environmental stewardship. As far as disadvantages go, expeditionary learning can potentially be difficult to be used for all subject areas, and schools offering this method of learning can be very expensive. Let's look at the aspect of the crew. One of the foundational credos of expeditionary learning is, "We are crew, not passengers." This metaphor refers to a group in a boat on a long voyage, where everyone is needed to pull at an oar, and no one sits by watching. Crew is a tightly knit unit that begins every single day of school with a morning meeting, team building, sharing, developing group norms, and shaping of their cultures. Teachers and students listen actively and attentively to one another, learning to support and challenge each other. Here are the goals of the crew as given by the official EL Education website. First, the primacy of self-discovery. Learning happens best with emotion, challenge, and support, according to EL instructors. A teacher's primary task is to help students overcome their fears and guide them toward discovery and self-discovery. Second, the having of wonderful ideas. Teaching in EL schools fosters curiosity about the world by creating learning situations that provide something important to think about, time to experiment, and time to make sense of what is observed. Third goal is the responsibility for learning. Every aspect of an EL education encourages both children and adults to become increasingly responsible or directing their own personal and collective learning. Fourth goal is empathy and caring. EL proponents believe that learning is fostered best in communities where students' and teachers' ideas are respected and where there is mutual trust. Older students mentor younger ones, and students feel physically and emotionally safe. Fifth point is success and failure. It is important for students not only to be successful, but also to learn from their failures, persevere when things are hard, and to learn to turn disabilities into opportunities. Sixth goal is collaboration and competition. Students are encouraged to compete not against each other, but with their own personal best and with rigorous standards of excellence. Goal number 7 is diversity and inclusion. In EL schools, students investigate and value their different histories and talents, as well as those of other communities and cultures. Next is the natural world. Students learn to become stewards of the earth and of future generations. Number 9 is solitude and reflection. According to this teaching method, Students and teachers need time alone to explore their own thoughts, make their own connections, and create their own ideas. They also need to exchange their reflections with other students and with adults. And the last goal is service and compassion. Students and teachers are strengthened by acts of service and compassion toward others. So what does expeditionary learning look like in real life? We will have a look at a short video taken at the Rosemary Elementary School and see how they implement expeditionary learning in their classrooms.
Expeditionary Learning Schools, now known as EL Education Schools, focuses on developing the academic skills of the students at the same time as they're developing the character skills of the students.
It's dealing with the whole child, and it's not just a score and academics. It's learning with an audience and real-world learning.
The word or the idea of expeditionary learning kind of comes from a project-based approach to education, understanding that students need to feel like their work is relevant and meaningful, and they'll do work with much more energy and focus and intent when it means something to them, when they're doing it for a purpose.
Learning targets are statements that help us know what we're going to do in an activity or lesson. Like in second grade, sometimes I'd just be wandering around, but now that there's learning targets that helps me concentrate.
And go ahead and give them a big smile, say good morning.
Daily in every classroom we'll have a community meeting in the morning that we call the crew meeting.
Crew is when we do a greeting, we do a circle and then a greeting. It makes me excited in the morning and it makes me happy about learning.
Good morning, crew.
We'll have a very conscious and specific focus on character trait.
The character target helps a person be a better person, like be more caring or helpful.
That will be part of it. And also, when we're fully developed, we'll be having learning expeditions, 2 or 3 long-term projects over the course of the year in each classroom, each grade level, that will develop on responding to a need within our community.
This learning is like the only way. After you begin, the word I like to use is evolving. Like we're always evolving and it never looks the same again, but we can always build on that. And we learn from each other, and that's a lot about expeditionary learning.
Our hope is to develop a school where school really feels like it's the responsibility of the learner, where the child feels the excitement of being a researcher and a scholar, developing their education around themes and topics that excite them, and helps them kind of look at education as their own responsibility, not as something that's done to them.
In this section of the presentation, we will look at the 5 core practices of expeditionary learning. These are learning expeditions, active pedagogy, culture and character, leadership and school improvement, and structures. The goals of learning expeditions are integration of the curriculum, in-depth learning, fieldwork, local expertise, and service learning. In expeditionary learning, lessons have explicit purpose, guided by learning targets for which students take responsibility. Important aspects of EL curriculum are inquiry-based math, science, and social studies, and also learning and discovery through the arts. Expeditionary learning schools prioritize building cultures of respect, responsibility, courage, and kindness. Students and staff are supported to do better work and be better people than they thought possible. School leaders build a cohesive school vision focused on student achievement and continuous improvement, and they align all activities in the school to that vision. This, of course, directly contradicts the purpose of Christian education, where the primary goal is to cultivate Christ-likeness in our students. School structures and traditions such as crew, community meeting, and service learning ensure that every student is known and cared for. There's a designated time for particular learning activities and other activities that the school might be using. I would like to close with expressing my personal opinion on expeditionary learning. Although I love many of the aspects of expeditionary learning, I do question the efficiency and scope of this method. While real-life experiences are, of course, very valuable, they should not be done at the expense of learning difficult intellectual skills within a traditional academic setting. Many of these hands-on teaching methods, similarly to what I did for the last class on Maria Montessori, these methods allow students to graduate who are unable to read or spell proficiently, speak a foreign language, whose math abilities are not properly developed, and who are not able to think and write clearly about complex topics. Oscar Wilde once said, when contradicting Goethe, that it is much more difficult to think than to act. And I believe that the most valuable thing we can teach students is the ability to think through demanding intellectual challenges. Solving a difficult linear algebra problem, working to understand a difficult passage from the Old Testament, knowing how to explain and defend creationism when facing opposition. These are examples of the sort of learning that we, as Christian teachers, should strive to provide to our students. And sadly, I'm not convinced about the possibility of reaching these goals only through real-life engagement and real-life lessons, even though I'm not saying that those are not important. This slide shows the sources that I used for this presentation, and this slide has a note that the background music, "It Is Well With My Soul," was used with permission, and images in this presentation that are not cited are found in the free domain. Thank you for watching.